Hey, welcome to Sharing Hope. I'm your host today, Michael DiMuccio, and with us is Matthew West, Dove-winning, Grammy-nominated Christian recording artist. Matthew, it's great to have you with us today.
With you, thank you. I have to be honest with you. I was super excited to join Medi-Share because I really need a haircut, and then they informed me that it was Medi-Share. So I'm both glad to be with you, but also severely disappointed because I need to visit a barber soon.
That's great. And yeah, no, it's funny too. I'll tell you what, Matthew, I had the privilege of meeting you back on, speaking of Medi-Share, back on the Roadshow 18 tour, so a couple of years ago. And I thought it'd be a good place maybe just to start talking about what's life like on the road.
Absolutely. Well, first I have to say that I told that joke despite my wife's discouragement. I told her I was going to be hanging with you guys, and I said, "Is that funny? I'm talking about a haircut." She said, "That's not funny," but I went with it anyway. So, I'm glad to be with you today in all seriousness. And it's funny. I had several conference calls today, and every call begins with, "Well, how are you doing?" And it's funny because you don't really feel right saying I'm doing great. And so the term I always find myself saying is hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. And, our tour buses are parked. Our crew and band members and personnel have all gone home. And we found ourselves, basically with a schedule wiped clean, not a tour date in sight, not a concert booked. A long way from the stage, and it's been that way for several weeks now. And life as I know it looks a whole lot different than I thought it was going to look. And I know everybody can say the same about their lives as well. So I'm coming to you from my home in Nashville, Tennessee. This is actually my home studio that I call the Story House. It's a little building behind my house, and this is where I write all of my songs. And I've had plenty of time over the last several weeks to come here and spending a lot of time just praying and fighting off discouragement, and really reading my Bible and most importantly, kind of just asking the Lord to give me wisdom of how to lead my family and my team well during this crazy time.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Everybody that I've spoken with, whether on a professional basis or just personal, they're navigating these waters, Matthew. And what does that look like for you? Like, you're fighting discouragement. I know probably writing music and having that clean slate, it probably helps with that. But what are you speaking to your family, your kids, as they're navigating with you?
Yeah, on a business front, as a recording artist, I don't always think of myself by another title that I actually. So most artists, we sort of reluctantly embrace the role of CEO. But the reality is, I'm a CEO as well. And I've got two different companies, a touring company and a management company that I own. We manage other artists. I've got several people on salary, and, my guitar player's got a new baby. And, everybody's, my keyboard player's supposed to get married in June, and there's every different dynamic, and I'm trying to lead them well. And a big part of how I'm able to provide for not just my family, but everybody else's families is our touring. And that's gone. That's gone entirely. And so I'll be honest with you. I wish I could give you like this perfect Christian answer. But if you know any perfect Christians, I'd love to meet them. The perfect Christian answer would be to say, I haven't been discouraged one bit. I've continued just to run my race and keep my eyes on God. And I know that He's going to provide. And I do know that. And I believe that with all of my heart. But the truth is, I've had several sleepless nights, and I've had some fear, and I've had some anxiety. And I started getting in this pattern of waking up and turning on the news, first instinct. Why? Well, because the headlines have been changing every 5 minutes, rapid updates like we've never seen before. And then I would get stressed out by what I was seeing on the news. And my wife, who I'm so thankful for, just kind of came to me and said, "Hey, maybe there's a better way to start our day together, because your stress level is affecting the whole family." And, that really convicted me in the best way. And I felt like the Lord showed me something in Scripture and gave me 3 words that have become my hope and my commitment, and sort of my prayer. And those 3 words are calm under pressure. And I revisited the story of the disciples and Jesus getting on a boat. And Jesus went to sleep, calm as calm can be. And while he slept, the sea was anything but calm. A storm came and threatened to overturn the boat. And I read about the disciples, and I saw a lot of myself in the disciples because they did 2 things. The first thing that the disciples did when the waves started to rise and the storm was raging is they freaked out. I can relate to that. And then the second thing they did is they went straight to Jesus and said, save us, save us. And I took comfort in that, you know, the fact that these right-hand men of Jesus, like his people, his guys, they still freaked out, even though they knew they were in the boat with the one who calms the waves. But they didn't leave it at that. After they freaked out, they went to Jesus and asked him to save them. And guess what Jesus did? He calmed the waves. And so I feel like that's been my commitment is I'm not always one who's calm under pressure. I'm not always Tom Brady, you know. And yet I've been asking the Lord that when I start to freak out, that I'll remember to take that straight to Jesus like the disciples did and know that he's the one who the wind and the waves obey.
It's good. Good word. Really appreciate that. And I can relate myself. You know, now I'm thinking back to seeing you live and, you know, you've got all this energy and it's an explosive show, you know, and as you're home, you know, you're dealing with the stress level, sometimes the depression, sometimes not knowing and or running to Jesus. But what do you do on a physical level? Like, you know what I mean? You're a guy that you're used to like pumping out at these concerts.
Is that what you're talking about?
There it is, brother. Yes. Love it.
I knew what you were getting at. Hey, how do you build such great muscles? Is that what you were asking?
You know what? I wasn't, but we can go there.
Oh wait! You thought you were talking to Jeremy Camp? Is that what it was? No, you know, I think physically staying in shape and staying active has been a huge ingredient towards staying calm under pressure. You know, I mean, just taking care of myself physically has really helped my headspace, and you know, it's no surprise. And so, getting a good sweat in, a good workout in, that's been very important to me. And I've continued to do that. My family and I have taken long walks every day. In fact, when I'm done speaking with you guys today, this will be our time where I keep joking that our happiest family member over the last 2 months is our family dog, Nick, because Nick has gotten more walks in the last several weeks than he's ever gotten before. He's chased more squirrels and, you know, taking those walks has been really good physically. And, you know, the hard part is at the beginning of this quarantine time, you know, you're just kind of like craving comfort food and carbs and things like that. And it's funny, it's not funny, but I was watching the news about how alcohol sales have just skyrocketed through this. And you think of these, you know, what happens like when people are in these uncertain times, what they're reaching for, right? So we talked about the disciples running straight to Jesus. Well, someone who doesn't know Jesus is running straight towards whatever it is that they think is going to help them cope or comfort them. And the side effects of that, you know, are many. And so I'm just trying to remember, you know, to keep a healthy lifestyle physically as well. My wife has been on a brownie baking frenzy. I'm trying to stop her from doing that. So we're trying to combat the brownies that I'm eating with taking long walks and trying to stay healthy and encouraging my family to do that as well. I was out in my studio working the other day and I watched my daughter. I have 2 daughters and my oldest had come out with a little yoga mat and was doing a little workout program. And it's just been a great way to kind of keep our sanity a little bit.
That's good. That's good. Now, with this kind of Sabbath, if you will, the last 5-6 weeks, you know, you mentioned the Lord had given you 3 words, calm under pressure. Have you gotten any new perspectives, maybe with how you tour, when you tour, those kinds of things? I know sometimes you can get on a roller coaster on a tour, and once you're over the edge, you know, it's location to location to location. But like in this step back, you know, what's going through your mind as your outlook for the future?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a text message exchange with one of the members of the Newsboys just 2 days ago, and I feel like I just name dropped there on this call. But Paul McCartney told me once. He said, "Matthew, don't ever name drop," and I always forget that. But we were both talking about how, as difficult as it's been to kind of face this season of uncertainty and to not be able to be on stage, in a way, we do feel like we've been let off the hamster wheel for a little bit. And so, one of the things my family and I have been trying to do every day is, on our walks, we talk about the silver lining. And we say, all right, so today wasn't how you hoped it would be. You thought you'd be with your friends, and I thought I'd be doing a show, and my wife thought she'd be going to have lunch with her girlfriends or whatever. What's a silver lining that you discovered today? And we've been talking about that. And it's really just like we used to sing as kids, or the old hymn, count your blessings, count them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. And one of the silver linings for me has been, in all honesty, I wrestle with extreme guilt throughout my career for the amount of time that I have to be away from my wife and my daughters while I'm telling others about Jesus. And one of the neatest moments of my life was I got to sit with Billy Graham, and I accepted Christ watching a Billy Graham crusade. And I got to go to his home in North Carolina before he went home to be with the Lord. And I got to talk with him, and he and I shared that in common, that one of our biggest regrets, both of us, was that we had to spend so much time away from our family. And in a strange way, that comforted me, that even Billy Graham had a regret or two. And he knew what grace was about, because just like everybody else, he needed grace for that. And so I think that's been something that I've noticed, and I'm grateful for. It's a strange kind of gratitude. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thankful that this pause button has been pressed in my life for the reasons that I wouldn't have pressed it myself. And the times in my life where I felt the pause button be pressed, and I wasn't the one who pressed it, I never would have wished for it. And yet every single time that's happened in my life, the Lord has used it to draw me closer to him. And, I had surgery on my vocal cords, and that was a pause button moment, actually a pause button year. But what the Lord did in my life during that season was powerful. And it did cause me to rethink how my life should go. That's one of my encouragements to people. And what I'm dealing with right now is going, okay, as life starts to maybe get back to some sense of normalcy, maybe there are some things that don't ever need to return to what once was considered normal. And for me, that might be the hamster wheel, the rat race. It's so funny how those types of references all deal with rodents, like I don't want to be associated with a rodent's lifestyle. And a lot of times we get ourselves into that hamster wheel. And so I do think there's some inventory that I'm taking and addressing, and I don't want to waste this season, because if God's trying to get my attention, I sure want to make sure that I'm tuned in. So there's going to be some things changed. I want to share something that a friend of mine who consults me in my business said to me this morning, actually, and this struck me. I wrote it down. She said, sometimes we need the environment around us to drastically change in order to give us the courage to do what we've always wanted to do. And I was like, I said, hey, I'm stealing that. I'm going to write a book about that, and I'm not giving you any credit.
Nice.
But it made me think about that, because I'm doing some other things right now. I've begun working on a new book, and I've begun developing a podcast, some things that are happening that I've had dreams for, but they've been on the back burner while I've been on the wheel. Yeah. And so there, I think it's important to stop and take some inventory and ask the Lord, are there some areas of my life that you have intended not just for me to pause, but to stop altogether, or to, kind of reimagine how life should look from here on out?
Sure. It's funny, you're talking about writing books, silver linings, good that's coming out of this. I know you've got a couple of songs too that are new since this new norm. And one of them is John 16 speaks of like taking heart. You got your guitar there, brother. Can you give us a little sample of that?
Well, Michael, I'm so unprepared. I don't even know. But yeah, songwriting has always been a release for me, and it's different kinds of releases, and sometimes I'm releasing the crazy, and sometimes I'm releasing the discouragement, and I come back to scriptures that my mom and dad had me memorize as a kid, and one of them is John chapter 16, verse 33. But I'll back up to verse 32. Jesus is speaking to his disciples, and he says something that is strangely fitting for today's time. And I'm sure many who are watching this have even been reminded of this scripture in their online services. But Jesus is warning the disciples. He said, the time is going to come where you will each be scattered to your own homes. And he's talking about the days when Jesus is going to be arrested and crucified. But we have all been scattered to our own homes right now. And I just thought that was so fitting. But in verse 33, Jesus says the words that most believers would know by heart. He says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. I love those two words, take heart. I looked up in the dictionary the meaning of the phrase and found several other phrases that were considered synonyms. Take courage, don't give up, be encouraged. And so I just kind of sat down thinking about what's going on in our world right now and watching the news in the background. These are the words that came out of that moment. Woke up this morning, life as you know it looks nothing like the kind of life you knew before. All of a sudden, fear stole the headlines. And it don't feel safe to even step outside your door. In this world you will have trouble, but I have overcome the world. So take heart and take a breath, and let me lift that heavy weight up off your chest. Take my hand, I know it's looking dark, and when the world falls all around you, I won't let you fall apart. Take heart, oh take heart. Do you remember singing back when you were younger? He's got the whole world in his hands, well that's still true. I hold your family, all your friends and all your loved ones. And even when you're barely holding on, I'm holding you. So take heart and take a breath. Let me lift that heavy weight up off your chest. Or take my hand, I know it's looking dark, and when the world falls all around you, I won't let you fall apart. Take heart. Oh, in this world you will have trouble, but I have overcome the world. Yes, in this world you will have trouble, but I have overcome the world. So take heart and take a breath. Let me lift that heavy weight up off your chest. Take my hand, I know it's looking dark, and when the world falls all around you, I won't let you fall apart. Take heart, oh child, take heart.
Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. That's anointed, and that's going to be a blessing as people listen to this interview. I know that for a fact. Wow. Tender moment there. It's tough to, I wanted to shift gears. Back, we were talking about Roadshow 18, and I remember there was a pre-show video that a lot of the different artists, they had cameos coming in. Every time you came in, you talked about eating steak. So as you're locked in, this issue with steak, are you beefing up your steak game, or what's going on?
Well, I'm not trying to offend any of our vegan viewers right now. Do you know what your percentage of viewers are vegan to carnivore? I mean, are we?
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth on that, my friend.
Well, then I'll plead the fifth as well, because I don't want any haters. But, well, let's just, I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Chicago boy, and steak and potatoes, definitely a staple. So I do love the occasional steak. I try not to eat steak as often as I would like. I try to resist too much red meat in my diet. But I did have a birthday this month, and allowed myself to eat a pretty good steak. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, occasionally.
Sure.
Right, Michael?
Now, I caught a video of you all about the quarantine life. And I saw one of the clips features you. I think you're laying on your back, putting a can of whipped cream right in your mouth. And
yeah.
So talk about the quarantine life a little bit, and then give us a sample.
Well, I said songwriting is a release for me, and sometimes it's to release the crazy. And I was joking with my family and my daughters and my wife. We were talking about the things that we miss, just kind of joking around. And so I kind of sat down. I called my buddy who I write a lot of songs with, and I said, all right, I want to write a song called Quarantine Life. And here's some lyrics. And we wrote the song over about a course of an hour or so, and every line made me laugh. And I thought, well, it might make somebody else laugh. So we recorded the song. I recorded it here in my home studio. And then my buddy, I had a film guy that was coming over to film me. I've been doing like worship for churches. And so he comes and socially distances a camera and films me. And I said, hey, while you're here, we're going to make a music video. He's like, what? I said, yeah, we're going to make a music video called Quarantine Life. And we wound up putting it on social media just for a joke. And it's gotten like millions of views. And the next thing I know, like TBN just called and they're like, hey, can we show your Quarantine Life video? And I'm like, wait, TBN? And so, it's been fun just to kind of, hey, we all need a laugh right now, don't we, Michael? I mean, it's just, so I wrote this song just to kind of make us laugh, and it turns out it's made some other people laugh too. Should I play a little bit for you? All right, here we go. I wish that I could go to Target. It's been a few weeks. I'd spend a couple hours shopping, buy something I don't need. Last night I dreamed I went to Starbucks. I heard him say, welcome back. Then I woke up and drank a bad cup of coffee through a homemade mask, and now I'm sad. Quarantine life, I can't lose weight, but I'm losing my mind. Quarantine life, killing that corona with the Clorox wipe. It's lonely inside, but we're gonna survive this quarantine life. It ain't all good, but it's all right. I'm a horrible whistler. I think I might have had a birthday, but I don't know what month it is. And on the days I take a shower, yeah, I consider that a win. And every day my girl's complaining since they closed the salon. And now she's looking like a stranger to me. I always thought she was a blonde, but she's not. Oh, quarantine life. Friday night toilet paper shopping online. Quarantine life. Made the Tiger King famous overnight. It's lonely inside, but we're gonna survive this quarantine life. It ain't all good, but it's all right. I wanna leave my house, I wanna touch my face, I wanna hug my friends. Never thought I'd say I wanna go to work, I wanna wear some pants. Kids that go to school, I love them, but oh man, I wanna do a show, doing what I love. I wanna go to church, Cracker Barrel or brunch. I wanna leave my house, I wanna touch my face. It's just another day in this quarantine life. Oh, ain't this some kind of crazy quarantine life? Friday night toilet paper shopping online. It's lonely inside, but we're gonna survive this quarantine life. Quarantine life. It ain't all good, but it's all right.
Good stuff. Thank you. Thank you. I personally needed a good laugh, and I'll tell you what, can certainly relate with all of that. So much appreciated. Well,
I'm still in trouble with my wife over that second verse, exposing that maybe blonde is not her real color.
Right. We'll watch who we send this out to. Well, hey man, where can people get more of your music, blogs, podcasts, whatever? Give us some direction.
Well, my music is available wherever people listen, whether it's on Spotify or Apple, or if you still listen to CDs, you can go to MatthewWest.com. Most people use CDs for coasters for their cups nowadays, but MatthewWest.com, you can we have a merchandise store with all of my books that I've written and albums and things like that. But on social media, you can find me on Instagram at Matthew J. West, or Facebook, Matthew West Music. And we've been doing a lot of, it's been neat. We've been doing a daily broadcast of a quiet time devotion. My parents live with me and my dad's a pastor. And so we do a little 15-minute devotion every day. Tomorrow's our last day of doing it every day, but we've had thousands of people watching daily. And more importantly than that, we've had thousands of people submitting prayer requests. And it's just been this really special time, just praying for people. We call it Quarantine Quiet Time. And so it's been really neat to connect with people via social media. The funniest thing is that song, Quarantine Life, kind of took off. And people were like, where can we get this song? And so my label actually agreed to release it as if it was like a real song. So people can find that on Spotify. Just a couple hours ago, my daughters asked Alexa to play it, and we had a little dance party thanks to Alexa. So, but yeah, people can find me on social media or at MatthewWest.com. One other thing I would mention is my dad and I have a ministry, and it's called Pop We. It's a little bit of a weird name. He's my pop, and our ministry is called Pop We. And at popwe.org, Popwe, we have just a really awesome ministry going on there. We send out a weekly devotional in email format, free of charge, to about 50,000 subscribers every week. And the list is growing by the day. And I write these little devotional thoughts, and it's just something that we want to offer. A long time ago, the Lord put it on my heart that my journey as a singer and a songwriter and artist was not just to sing to people long distance, but to join them on their own journey and in their own story on deeper levels. And so we tried to create some ways for us to keep the conversation going long after the concert is over. And that served us well now that there are no concerts. We're still able to have this really powerful dialogue and help people grow deeper in their faith. We saw many people last night at an online concert pray with me and my dad and make a decision to ask Jesus into their heart. And so by the concerts might look different than we thought they would look, but God's power is still every bit as strong, and he's still reaching people and still seeks and saves those who are lost. And so I just always hope that my music can be an encouragement, for those who maybe don't even have a faith, but they're struggling to find hope in this difficult time. I hope that, wherever people are hearing me talk, even on this right now, maybe somebody who's in deep discouragement, that they might go, you know what? Maybe there is hope. And maybe God really is in control. Maybe he does have a plan for my life. Maybe I should let him be the author of my story. And that's always my hope and my prayer. So thanks for giving me the chance to hang out with you guys today.
Oh, our pleasure. And thank you for carving out some time and, just pouring out your heart and being real and transparent. And to our viewers, I would just encourage y'all, get on over to Matthew's site and get more of his material, because obviously he's got heart, he's got humor, there's so much that he's got to offer. So Matthew, thank you again for joining us today, and thank you for sharing hope.
Thank you, Mike.